Let me now bring in Congressman Auchincloss. He is a Democrat from Massachusetts and a member of the China Select Committee. He's also a co-sponsor of the bill that overwhelmingly passed the House today. Thank you so much for being here, Congressman.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
So I want to play for you some of the sound from colleagues who voted against the bill. Take a listen.
I am concerned about people's data. I'm concerned in many ways about the China Communist Party. But if you're going to say that the platform is being used for propaganda, give specifics.
We have yet to receive one piece of public evidence that actually shows that somehow China is actually negatively using our data. That has not been proven.
So, Congressman, you heard your colleagues say they want more specific evidence. So what evidence do you have that China is using TikTok in a nefarious way specifically?
I co-sponsored this legislation with the Chinese national security angle as my secondary concern, not my primary concern. I'm happy to talk about my concerns with Xi Jinping's use of data, particularly geolocation data and contact list data. But actually, the primary driver for me was not USA versus China. It was families versus the greed of big tech, because social media corporations are profiting by keeping our kids hooked on screen time. That screen time is eating into family time. It is deteriorating the mental health of our youth. It is undermining our civic discourse. And all of these corporations, whether we're talking about Meta or TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, all of them are evading accountability for it. Congress needs to step up. But the first step to that is holding TikTok to account to U.S. law, not to Chinese law.
Well, Congressman, you just listed a number of other social media accounts or social media companies. Meta, you said, YouTube. Why single out TikTok? Why not do a more broad bill that gets across and goes after all those social media companies that you just listed? I
have. What's different about TikTok is it is not domiciled in the United States, so it's not subject to any law that I would write. So the first step is, okay, TikTok, you're subject to U.S. law. Second step is, okay, all social media corporations, you're going to have to answer to Congress. So, for example, I filed legislation that would raise the age of internet adulthood from 13 to 16, because I don't think 13-year-olds should be transacting their personally identifiable information with multinational corporations without their parents' involvement. I'm working on legislation that would hold social media companies to account for defamation and intimate privacy violation and cyber stalking. These corporations for the last 20 years have been plundering our discourse. They've been platforming disinformation, and they're making our kids and our families miserable.
But Congressman, I should ask you, are any of those bills banning those social media companies like you would TikTok?
No, and this bill doesn't ban
not?
TikTok either. This bill forces the sale of TikTok to a U.S. domiciled company.
Why not go after bills that would ban those social media sites as a consequence to whatever you would want them to do?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question. So what we're saying is TikTok needs
what
to...
I'm saying, I'll ask the question. What I'm saying is you just listed a number of companies. You said you're pushing for regulation. And I'm asking you, why not make the consequence of those bills not be to ban them? In other words, why not say, Facebook, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to ban you? Why is that not part of the bills that you've been pushing?
Because Facebook is already subject to U.S. law. So we don't have... Congress doesn't have to threaten. Congress can say this is the law, which is what we would do for TikTok as well, where it's subject to U.S. law. That's the great thing about a company that's domiciled in the United States and that's subject to U.S. law is we get to say what the law is in Congress. Right now, Xi Jinping is saying what the law is to TikTok, and his law is very antithetical to U.S. values about what civic discourse looks like and how we use PII.
I want to ask you on this bill, focusing on TikTok, what's your plan for getting it through the Senate and onto the president's desk? The president said he would sign it, but do you expect to convince senators to bring it to the floor, and how are you planning to do that?
You know, we have seen senators who have been champions of cracking down on big tech's abuses, and my home state senator, Senator Warren, has a strong bipartisan bill that would put in place really a comprehensive set of regulations around all social media corporations. So I know that there are champions in the Senate. Now, the question is whether these senators can withstand the lobbying deluge that's about to come from TikTok, because every time you try to take on big tech, the lobbyists take on the Capitol. And we need lawmakers who are willing to stand up to those lobbyists and stand by American families, because I'm seeing the mental health effects of this day in, day out from fellow parents and from my constituents, and it's time that Congress takes action.
Yeah. I want to also ask you, as you push for Congress to take action, President Biden's campaign, as you know, is on TikTok. How comfortable are you about that? And are you worried that that banning TikTok could hurt efforts to reach young voters?
The president and his campaign, as is appropriate, are going to use every legal means necessary to reach the wider American electorate and to tell the story of his first administration and also of the contrast that American voters are facing between him and Donald Trump. I mean, smoke signals, drums, radio, TV, they're going to use everything, as they should. It's a campaign. You want to get there and reach people. But the president has also been clear that he sees the dangers of TikTok. And of course, his campaign would comply with the law if that became into effect.
I want to also point out, though, that there are, as we know, millions and millions of people on TikTok, and 43% of voters ages 18 to 34, they use TikTok, they say, at least once a day. How worried are you that voters who use TikTok will blame Democrats in particular for banning this bill? Now, I know, banning the app. Now, I know I should tell you that I know it's bipartisan, but Democrats, you yourself, have been very vocal about this. So I wonder if you're worried that you'll take the blame for this.
So again, not a ban. It's a forced sale. TikTok could be
well,
up and running.
The consequence would be a ban.
I'm sorry?
The consequence would be a ban.
Well, they have 6 months to sell this company to an American company. There's no reason to believe that that couldn't happen. I'm sure there'd be many willing buyers here in the United States. So this bill is not a TikTok ban, just to be incredibly clear. It is a forced sale of TikTok to U.S. domiciled company. Now, having said that, I don't like to make policy based on opinion polls. I think it's incumbent upon me to use my judgment and to represent the values of my district, and then to go back home and explain why I'm doing what I did. Yeah, right after I voted on this bill, for example, I walked down the Capitol Hill steps and I talked to a group of high school students about running on this TikTok divestiture. And they asked some tough questions. And I think I gave some pretty comprehensive and substantive answers. I saw some heads nodding. I saw some heads shaking. That's politics. That's what you do in this job.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman, for your spirited answers. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.